That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Happy Monday night, sports fans. This is the Sports Hounds exclusively on A2DRadio.com. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Frank Vesby is producing the show. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Instagram, Twitch. You miss anything here on A2D Radio, download us wherever you get your podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. We're everywhere. It's Takeover Talk. Happy 4th of July, everyone. I know it's July 5th. 4th of July was yesterday. You had a nice little extended weekend with it falling on a Monday. Hope everyone's stayed happy, safe, cool, saw some fireworks, ate some hot dogs. Being American. That's what America's all about. Eating a hot dog on the 4th of July, watching some fireworks. It's awesome. The Sports Hounds brought to you each and every Monday by our doc, make them yours too, Dr. Paul Fidel, Specialized Physical Therapy. Two convenient locations, Burlington and Cherry Hill. He's our doc, make him yours too. We're also brought to you each and every week by Body Check Wellness, a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use promo code A2D, 20% off your order. Lot going on. Summer, sports world, never stopping. We got some baseball talk. We got some all-star talk. The Phillies are tragic. The Yankees are tragic. Teams are kind of separating themselves in baseball. So, if I had to pick a team right now, Brad, I think I would pick Houston. I think Houston's got the best team.
Well, you know what? We'll see about Trevor Bauer. If Trevor Bauer is gone, they just might be. I still think the Dodgers are the team to beat at this point. Until proven otherwise, that you have to consider them the favorites right now. Now you can pick somebody else, obviously, but they, to me, look like the most complete team right now.
I just really like that Houston lineup. I mean, you got Brantley finally healthy. Altuve's back. They lose Springer, but Kyle Tucker's been pretty good.
How about Straw taking over for Bregman? Boy,
Bregman's not even healthy right now.
Yeah, has he been red hot? That guy Straw, he's stealing a lot of bases. I mean, I wonder if they would consider getting rid of Bregman. That guy can lead off a game and be a major factor for them.
You got to find a spot for him.
Huh?
You got to find a spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good young player. If they don't find a spot for him, he's going to end up pushing his way out. There's no way you can hide him anymore. Everybody knows about him for sure.
Phillies, they're in Chicago, Wrigley Field tonight, 8:00.
They better win 2 out of 3 in Philly, because when they go to Boston this weekend, they're going to be lucky to win 1.
Well, I think they're at Chicago now.
Yeah, they're at Chicago. They're on a little road trip right now with Chicago for 3 and then Boston for 3.
Yeah, I got some friends.
They got to win it. They got to win 2 out of 3 in Chicago. I mean, Chicago has lost 11 in a row, or 10 of their last 11.
I think it's 9. I think it's 9 straight.
Okay. The Brewers won 11 in a row. That's where I'm thinking of the 11.
And they're playing great too.
Yes, they are.
I mean, Phillies, they're just such a meh team. Just such a meh team. Now you got the venom coming out on my boy Bryce, and which I don't like. But it is what it is. He makes the most money, and the team's underachieving. So, I'm always the first one to cut off the head of the snake and crush the head of the snake. So I guess it's fair to crush Bryce Harper, even though I don't think that any of this is really his fault.
It's not his fault. They did get Gregorius back, which is going to help.
Big time. He's been out so long; it's almost like trading for someone.
Yeah, I mean that's going to help. I mean, you can't help but get better with him back in the lineup again and hitting the ball. He can hit. He's a good defensive player. So I mean, hopefully he'll be back and he'll be healthy and he can go on one of those patented hot streaks. And if he does, look out. I mean, he did hit a 3-run homer the other day, didn't he?
He hit a home run his first game back. I think it was his first at bat.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You know he can carry a team when he's hot. He did it for the Yankees for a long time. And I'll tell you what, the Yankees have not been the same team without him. So, I mean, I think there is something to that.
But, I'm not really ready to go. I'm not really ready to give up on the Phillies.
Well, you can't really give up on them because they're only 4.5 games out of first place.
4.5 back. The only reason I'm not giving up on them is because of Dave Dombrowski. This guy's won everywhere he went. Big market, small market, doesn't matter. I think he's going to get it right here. You got the draft coming up.
I think you're a year away, and the reason I think you're a year away is I just think he's going to need another off season to bring in some more guys. I just think that they were such a mess, and there was only so much he can do in one off season. I think this off season, I think he'll be able to do a lot more, and get some stuff. The problem is the Phillies don't really have a farm system that you can deal a lot of guys and get a big time player back. Even like just as a rental. That's the problem. I mean, if they make a trade, and if somebody's willing to make a trade with them, where it's a baseball trade instead of being a buyer or a seller, that kind of thing, then they got a shot to get a good player. But they may have to give up a player who plays every day to improve that pitching staff, help out the bullpen, whatever it is that they need to do. I don't know if they can. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I don't know if they have enough farm system.
They don't have any farm system. They don't have anyone. They got a bunch of bums. They have Mickey Moniak, who was the first pick in the draft. He's a total stiff and he stinks. Adam Hazley was the 7th pick in the draft out of Virginia. He's in AAA. He can't hack at the big league level. I mean, these are two picks. The only bright spot, and I don't like to celebrate an injury, but Sixto Sanchez did get hurt again. He's going to need season-ending surgery. So,
all right. Well, for him.
Yeah, but now it's clear as day that the Phillies won that trade by a mile because Jorge Alfaro is not good, and Sixto Sanchez can't be healthy.
Oh, I agree with you about that.
And then if you look at this roster, you're totally right. They're going to have to make a baseball trade and get creative if they even make a move. It's just going to be minor.
It's not. See, you can't blame Dombrowski. He's only been here. He's only been here for one off season. You haven't been able to see him draft anybody. I mean, he has to get some. They have to get some good minor league players, and then they can start making some trades and try to get some rentals to help them out. That's why I don't know that they're going to be able to do that much in the off season, and unless they just get a pure salary dump. And I don't know.
But Mr. Middleton, Mr. Stupid Money, he's scared to go over the luxury tax. The one guy you can trade that I think actually could garner some value, I think he stinks, is Rhys Hoskins.
Yeah.
I think Rhys Hoskins totally stinks. I think I can play Brad Miller at first base for the rest of the season. Maybe you get some young players in here. Maybe you get some pitchers in here. That's the guy I would be looking to trade.
Rhys Hoskins is tradable.
And then the second one's Aaron Nola, who I think's been overrated by this fan base for years.
What is his ERA? His ERA is like over 4.4 now, isn't it?
He's not good. I mean, he strikes out all these guys, and then he's up 5-1 with 11 strikeouts. And I go in the kitchen to get a glass of water, and it's 8-5, and he's just hemorrhaging runs.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is it's great to be able to get a lot of strikeouts if you own a fantasy team, but in real baseball, if you have 11 strikeouts, you got to be able to do that get at least 6 innings out of your pitcher, out of your starting pitcher when he's a number 2. I mean, that's the same problem the Yankees seem to have. And the Yankees have a lot of problems right now, but I mean, getting innings out of your starter is something you got to be able to do, and he just doesn't seem like he's going to be able to do that. That's why I think they just need to have one off season, have Dombrowski draft a few good players, let him do what he does, which is be a good drafter, build up the farm system in the off season, and then go ahead and make one of those kind of trades, because that's all they really need to do, quite honestly, and then they'll be fine.
They're going to have some money. They're going to have some money coming up, too, to spend.
Hopefully they'll spend it.
Dave Dombrowski, this is what I keep telling people. Dave Dombrowski didn't come here to pinch pennies.
He's not that kind of a GM. He's a kind of GM. He'll if you give him a big budget, he'll bring in some guys. But if you're going to cheap out, Dave Dombrowski isn't going to be able to do anything with this team. If they're going to cheap out and not get very close to the salary cap. I mean, the luxury tax, I should say. If they're not at like 207, 208 million by after the trade deadline, then that's on Middleton. That's on your owner.
They're at 198 right now.
Okay, so they have $10 million they can pick up in the in a trade. I mean that's really what they should be able to do at this point. And if they don't do it, then they're not making an honest effort to try to win. Which
I don't think will fly with Dombrowski.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But basically, I look at the Phillies as having about the same chance to win that division as the Yankees do to be a wild card.
See, now that I disagree with, because the Yankees are in a much more difficult division in the AL.
Yeah, I'm not talking about winning the division. They're not. The Yankees aren't winning the division. They're 10.5 games out of first place. But getting to the wild card, I think the A's and Tampa Bay are both 12 games over 500. So that puts the Yankees, 5.5 games out of the wild card, which is still within striking distance. But I mean, the Yankees, there's a lot of they have a lot of problems right now. Beginning with Cole, who all of a sudden, now that he can't cheat,
he can't cheat anymore.
And I think Chapman's got the same problem.
I just traded for him in fantasy baseball too. Now he can't cheat. I'm screwed. I gave up a lot for him too, Brad.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, probably when you made that trade, was it before the spider stick situation?
No, it was after. But I mean, it's Garrett Cole. I figured he'd be fine.
Well, he might end up being okay. I mean, we'll see. I mean, hopefully for him and hopefully for the Yankees, he starts pitching like he was before. I mean, I just don't know. He can still throw the ball 100 miles an hour. So, I mean, okay, you don't get as many revolutions, but if he's going to turn back into the pitcher he was with the Pirates, they're dead because Severino's not coming back till August. And the worst part for the Yankees is that their schedule right now, I think they're going to Seattle for 3 games. I think they've got Oakland for 3 games, and that's gonna. Then they come back to play Boston, something like that. It's just like, oh, jeez, seriously, they're playing all the real good teams who've beaten the hell out of them this year, who could beat the hell out of them this year. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to take a miracle for them to still be in it by the trade deadline, because Cashman doesn't seem to want to make any trades, and I think Cashman is the main problem for them. I mean, they were yelling "Fire Boone." I know they were chanting "Fire Boone" on this past Wednesday, in that tragic game against the Angels, when Chapman came in and blew an 8-4 lead in the 9th inning.
Well, he's in a funk and Cole's in a funk, and if those two guys are in a funk, Yankees have more problems than.
Yeah, I mean, and nobody other than Judge and Sanchez, nobody's really hitting. LeMahieu has reverted back to Colorado Rockies LeMahieu before he signed with the Yankees, where he gets a lot of singles and an occasional double, but not hitting 340 or 350 anymore, hitting more like 270. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the Yankees could do. I really don't. Gleyber Torres is I can't even figure any way how that happened with him, how bad he's become. I mean, it's impossible to figure out how he went from a 38 home run a year guy to hitting 3 home runs right now, and looking absolutely clueless at the plate. And you gotten to a point where he's going to end up getting traded.
But this is a guy that was untouchable. We're talking about Torres, right?
Yeah, Torres.
I mean, this is a guy was untouchable for years. This is a guy that you could have turned into an established guy.
He might still be. He's only 23. I think he's only 23 years old. But I mean, he's the last year, and I understand it was a COVID year, so it was only 60 games or something like that. So I mean, I understand he had a terrible regular season, hit the ball like crazy in the postseason. You think he'd come back this year, but then he got I don't know. I mean, he did get COVID at the beginning of the season. Maybe it's just taken him a long time to come back and be a productive player. But he's been lost at the plate almost the whole season. So I mean, I don't know what they can do. Really, the whole season, Stanton hasn't done anything. I mean, he's got 14 home runs, but they always seem to come when they're way ahead or way behind. And he hit them all in like a week span. He hit like 7 or 8 home runs in 1 week, and then hasn't done anything the rest of the year. So I mean, I don't even know what to say about him anymore. I mean, it's crazy how bad he's been this year. I mean, the whole team. I mean, Gio Urshela's been pretty good. I can't really complain about him. But I mean, I'll give you Judge, Stanton, and Urshela as the 3 guys that have actually hit. The other guys have been awful. Voigt coming back has been awful. He hasn't done anything. So at this point, they don't have enough hitting. They score 3 runs a game. Their pitching stinks. They're nowhere near as good as the Rays or the Red Sox, and right now they're nowhere near as good as the Oakland A's. I know they won 2 out of 3 against them a couple of weeks ago, but they're not better than them.
And we got on the Sixers front, little Ben Simmons update before we get into championship talk. Habs Lightning Game 4 tonight. Going to puck drop about 20 minutes away, I would guesstimate. They say 8 o'clock, but it's not going to start at 8 o'clock. Everyone knows that. Ben Simmons, still a Sixer for now. I'll say it again. I don't see how he's on this team opening night next year. It's just he can't be here. The Kings, the Warriors, the Hornets, all these teams want him. There's reports that his trade value is still high, which I can't even fathom. I can't even believe. Maybe I just don't understand the NBA. Maybe I just don't get it. I don't understand how these GMs can value this guy's potential when, potential.
I can understand the Warriors, Rob, because with the Warriors, he can just give the ball to he can bring the ball up and then he can pass it to Curry and pass it to Thompson. That might work. I can understand. And Wiseman is going to be a real good player. So I mean, he won't have to shoot with those guys.
Yeah, but if he does this bullshit, his Diva Ben bullshit, a guy like Draymond Green is going to drive his head through the wall.
Yeah, I forgot about Draymond Green, and he is he doesn't have the patience for that crap. So yeah, you're right. I mean that could be a problem. We'll see. I listen. That Ben Simmons has created his own problems.
He's been busy. He's been busy though, Brad. He bought a $17.5 million house, a mansion just outside of Los Angeles, and he was seen.
Oh, did he? In California. So
in California.
He's going to end up out there then.
I mean, I wouldn't really put too much stock in that. I mean, he's going to live somewhere.
Here's what I'm going to tell you, okay?
He's not going to buy a house in Philly. We all hate him.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, and I'm going to give you the how 2 guys ended up in New York scenario. Remember when we were talking about Durant and Irving, and I thought that they were going to end up in New York with the Knicks?
Yeah.
And they ended up in New York, but they ended up in New York with the Nets. Well, guess what? They both bought houses on Long Island. And guess what? Bang. They're in New York. So, I mean, I do think LeBron had bought a house in L.A., before free agency, and he ended up in L.A. I just have a feeling if he bought a house in California, he's going to end up somewhere down there.
He's over in England right now, not working on his game. Not working on the skills, which he could. He's in England. He's at Wimbledon. He's canoodling with some TMZ.
Now that's
smoke show. I mean, she's a very beautiful girl he's at Wimbledon with. But I mean, read the room, bro. Read the room.
Yeah.
They post a video. Practice your foul shots. Do something.
Yeah,
I get it. It's his job, and this is his off season, But you got to earn vacations. You got to earn vacation. You got to earn play time.
he's a mess. I mean, we'll see what he does. We'll see what he does after that when he gets back. Wimbledon will be done by this weekend, so we'll see where he ends up this weekend. After this weekend, if he wanted to take a couple of weeks off and watch the finals and do that, okay. But we'll see. I mean, we honestly, unless you're actually at a Sixer practice, you don't really know how hard this guy works. So you just have to see what happens with him. Talk about him going to Portland for Damian Lillard. I think that's not.
Damian Lillard's not coming to Philadelphia.
Well, I don't think he's gonna. I don't think they're gonna trade him for Simmons. I think if Simmons wouldn't work out there. They don't have enough wing players for it to work. He'd have to score out there, and he doesn't seem to want to do that. So,
all right, let's get to our poll question. Many of us in our families are brought to deal with mental health and addiction issues. We are happy to support the Counseling Center at Sunrise Detox. If you need mental health therapy or addiction, please call 856-651-8117. Tell them Tommy Arnone sent you. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. It's hockey. Another hockey night. We did game 1 last week. We got game 4 tonight. Our poll question of the night, the Tampa Bay Lightning will sweep the Montreal Canadiens. Agree or disagree? If the Montreal Canadiens were going to win a game in this series and not get swept, they would have won game 3 in their building. That was the batten down the hatches game, as you like to call it, Brad. They didn't get it done. The Lightning are just too good. The Canadiens are just, the clock's about to strike.
It's 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock for the Cinderellas of the National Hockey League.
Their carriage is about to turn back into a pumpkin.
Exactly. Listen, bottom line with the Canadiens, and I mean, I know at the beginning of the year, I picked them as a dark horse, and when their regular season was just not that good, they were 24 and 34.
They only had 2 more points than the Flyers in the regular season.
If they counted overtime losses as losses, like a normal league does, they would have been 10 games under 500. And because of the stupidity of that, okay, they made the playoffs over some other teams like my Rangers, who by the way had more points than the Canadiens, and some other teams. And now they're playing like the regular season Canadiens. Yes, they beat the Leafs, but the Leafs are chokers. They beat the Jets, but the Jets also lost Sheffield because he got suspended and missed the last 3 games of that series. They did upset Vegas. You got to give them their marks for that. Somehow Colorado, with all that talent, lost to Vegas. So I mean, that's not Montreal's fault that they lost. So I mean, look, this is where we're at, and Tampa Bay is just too good. If you take a look, Rob, at the top 5 scorers in the playoffs this year, you will find that they are all Tampa Bay Lightning players. 1 through 5, all Tampa Bay. And that's all you need to know. I love how everybody makes a big deal about what a great fourth line they have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But you know what? They may have a great fourth line, but their top 5 players they have 5 guys that are the top scorers in the playoffs. So what's the difference?
I don't know.
I mean, I know, all we've heard about, all they ever talk about is the fourth line, Maroon, Barclay Gaudreau, and who's their fourth line center? Cirelli? I think he's the fourth line center. I mean, yeah, they're great. And it's really great to have a good fourth line. I agree with that. And it's great that they're good defensively because they can come out and they can shut down the first line of another team because they're that good defensively. But the bottom line is putting the puck in the net and having a great goalie too. And they've got that. And, I mean, you take a look. Braden Point has 14 goals right now in the playoffs, which is ridiculous. That's a stupid number of goals. Kucherov, who didn't play at all during the season, leads the NHL in points in the playoffs. I think he has 22 points, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, this is why Tampa Bay is who Tampa Bay is right now. I mean, they had trouble getting over the hump, but they got over the hump last year, And this year they're better than last year because Steven Stamkos has been healthy for the duration of the season and in the postseason. So last year they didn't even have Stamkos and they won the cup. Then you add Stamkos to the team and they didn't have any major losses to their personnel. I mean, no way they're going to lose this year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the poll. It sounds like you agree with the poll as well.
Oh, yeah.
I feel foolish for picking the Canadiens just because I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just used my brain and realized that Tampa Bay is just a much, much, much better team.
Well, listen, I thought I got sucked in, too. I thought the Canadiens would win a couple of games, because Carey Price was spectacular. But, you know what happens when you get a bunch of snipers and your defense isn't good enough to stop them. You can't expect Carey Price to be stopping a bunch of snipers without a good enough defense behind him.
I mean, where does it – I mean, if they don't win tonight, they'll win the next game, or maybe they'll win it in 6 if Montreal gets on some crazy little hot streak. I don't think there's any argument that can be made that Tampa Bay is going to blow a 3-0 lead to a far inferior team.
No, that's not going to
like
happen.
The Montreal Canadiens. Where does this fit? I mean, this is back-to-back, and they knocked on the door for how many years? I mean, where does this group rank all time? I mean, you had the Devils teams, you had the Red Wings teams.
I'll tell you what, they are. I think they're one. I think if they win the cup, which I'm sure they will, okay, they're right up there with the Penguins. With the Penguins teams, they're not as good as the Edmonton teams. I don't think they're as good as them, or the Canadiens of the 70s or 60s. I don't think they're quite in that class. But this is one of the best teams I've seen in a long time. I think they're. I mean, the Penguins, when they had Lemieux, that team was awesome. Okay, when they won those cups with Lemieux. But you know what? The Penguins teams in 15 and 16, I think this team's better than those teams. I know they had Sidney Crosby and Malkin in their prime, but you know what? They didn't have the kind of depth and talent that this Tampa Bay Lightning team has. I mean, this Tampa Bay Lightning team is just unbelievable. They've got everything.
How do they afford all this? I mean, it's a hard cap league.
Their top players take hometown discounts. And the reason they're able to take hometown discounts, and I know you're going to get mad at me for saying
here we go.
This, okay? But that tax advantage is huge for them. Okay? I mean, it is. I mean, you have to understand if you're paying somebody, if you're making over $5-6 million a season, okay, and you're playing in Tampa Bay, you could sign. If you played in New York, you'd have to sign an $8 million contract to even it out. So they have a distinct advantage with that, and that, believe me, that does come into play. I mean, when it's a low, listen, it doesn't come into play with baseball as much because it's a $208 million payroll, but, with the luxury tax and everything. But in a league with trying to think what I think it's $82 million with an $82 million salary cap. That's going to be a flat cap. It's really important that your best players are willing to are willing to do a hometown discount so that you can keep all your guys together. And you know what? They've got an unselfish group of guys who want to win. They're all getting paid, and they all want to win. And good for them. I mean, it's a real statement about how teams can become dynasties if you got guys who are willing to do that. I mean, Tom Brady did it in New England for how many years? That's how guys end up being winners. That's how guys.
I mean, Tom Brady cost himself a lot of money.
Yeah, but
a lot of money.
Yeah, but how much? But how much is? But you think about it with him, okay? He still made a ton of money playing football.
I hear you.
He's probably made over his career. He's probably made over $200 million. Sure, probably could have been $400 million if he was greedy.
Well, he's got the marketing. Good looking guy, big market.
Exactly. So the bottom line is okay. He may not have made as much as he could possibly have made if he would have been greedy, but he also wouldn't be considered the GOAT either. I mean, he wouldn't be talked about as the guy who won 7 Super Bowls.
Where would you land on that, Brad?
As
Would
far
you
as
take a discount to win and be a good team guy?
yeah, because I would want to win. I would want to win. I would realize that, you know what, I'm making whatever. I mean, let's say you're a hockey player, okay? If somebody offered me $8 million, okay, and I knew I could get 11, okay, but you're giving me a good term and I'm on a great team, or I could make 11 and be on a shit team. You know what? I'm gonna take the 8 and be a legend, because that's what these guys should be playing for. They're making enough money. How much is enough? You're gonna make more money. You're gonna make enough money to take care of about 5 generations after you. So how much is enough?
I don't know if I would do it. I would
Yeah,
take the 11. I think I would take the 11. Because if I take the 8, let's say I take the 8 and something happens. I blow my knee, my Achilles, I get hit in the face with a puck, whatever. Then I'm out. Then I'm not setting myself up for generations, generate my family up for generations and generations.
If you're making $8 million, okay, let's say you sign a 5-year contract for $40 million.
Yeah.
Okay, and you could have had a 4-year contract for, say, $48 million. Okay. What?
Well, see, that's different because.
But that's what Tampa Bay is basically.
But the extra year is big too because you're locked in for the 5th year.
But that's what Tampa Bay did. You know what I'm saying? They went and they gave these guys term. So I mean, at some point, these guys they're going to be stuck with these guys towards the end of their contracts, and they're going to pay for it eventually. But I mean, if they win 3 or 4 Stanley Cup, they're going to win 2 at least. So I mean, if they're going to win you 2 Stanley Cups in a row, who cares? You're now they're going to be, these guys are going to be legends in Tampa Bay. These guys will never have to pay for a drink in a bar again. Okay, their names will always be remembered in Tampa Bay. It's just like, look at Greg Pryor. We talked to Greg Pryor. Okay.
Yes.
In Kansas City. Okay, everybody. It's been 30 years, 40 years since he played when the Royals won the championship in '85. It's been 35 years, okay? Everybody still knows who he is. And he was the backup shortstop, third baseman. He was the backup
He was a utility guy.
Player for them. He was a real good utility player. I mean, I really was. I mean, he was a plus player at every position he played, and he could hit a little bit. So I mean, but you have to look at it. If you're winning, okay, that means a lot. You know what? You can make more money off the field because you're a winner, and that also helps, because that helps you get endorsements when you retire. You could stay with the organization and scout, and you can make a lot of money after you retire, and that's what these guys will end up doing. You know, I mean, you take a guy like Stamkos, who's been in Tampa Bay forever. Okay, I mean, he could end up either being, you know, a customer relations and not doing crap, and they'd be paying him $1 million a year because, you know, he might sign a few jerseys and have them as giveaways so that they make sure they sell out their building against lousy teams. You know what I'm saying? Just to have that kind of guy around means a lot. I mean, the Detroit Red Wings, they have Steve Yzerman now running their hockey team. You don't think it helps to have Steve Yzerman there, you know, being a legend player, now running the team? That doesn't hurt either.
How far does that go? The Red Wings are out of it before the season even started these days, it seems like.
Yeah, but you know who built up Tampa Bay? Steve Yzerman.
That's a good point. I forgot about that until you just said it right now.
He built them up. Now he's with the Red Wings, and now he's going to try to, you know, he left because he wanted to go home and try to help the Red Wings out. But, you know, his work in Tampa Bay
can't hurt them. It can't get any worse, can they?
With the Red Wings?
Yeah.
Well, they can if you don't draft decent players with your draft picks. So Detroit's 2 or 3 years away from being competitive again. So it's going to take them a while because they just hung on to their championship team too long. I mean, that's what's going to happen though, Rob. When you win Stanley Cups and you're successful, eventually, you are going to pay for it in the long run. But I mean, if you win, you don't care. It doesn't matter.
What do you think Montreal has to do tonight, Brad?
Well, Carey Price is going to have to stand on his head. That's number one. Montreal is going to have to play a very conservative game and slow it down and try to make it not allow Tampa Bay to get guys in front of the net, because if you notice, Tampa Bay has had guys in front of the net the entire series, and Montreal hasn't been able to stop that. I mean, every shot Carey Price is facing, he's got a screen or a partial screen or somebody in his face just annoying him to death. So he hasn't been able to concentrate and make the kind of saves he's made in the first 3 rounds. And I mean, it's hard to play goal that way, and it's frustrating. Montreal is always behind. They need to score first. I think that's first and foremost. They've got to score first tonight. Because Tampa Bay has gotten up on them in every game. They've had the lead. They scored the first goal. Let's see Montreal score first. Put a little pressure on Tampa Bay. I mean, it just seems like Montreal is always trying to battle back every game, and it's against that team it's tough. And one other thing I got to tell you, the New York Islanders, you got to give them credit because you see how good this Tampa Bay team is, I should say, and the Islanders gave them fits. I mean, they almost won that series. I mean, they lost Game 7 1-0. I mean, you got to give them a ton of credit. I got to give them their props. As much as I can't stand the Islanders, but score first here. Get on top, and then play your defensive game. And then try to play conservatively and wait. Tampa Bay will make mistakes. Okay, even though they're a really good defensive team, they will make mistakes. You got to capitalize on Vasilevsky, and they just haven't been able to do that thus far.
Why can't they just say the game's going to start at 8:20?
Oh, because they want you to turn on the TV at 8 o'clock so they can watch. So you have to watch all the commercials. The NHL's got to pay. The NHL has to pay the bills, so that's why. I mean, all sports do that. You know that. When it comes to postseason, I mean, the NBA is notorious for that.
All right, don't forget about our new A2D memberships. $9.99 a month. You get some amazing perks, including shout-outs, members-only shows, appearances, and weekly picks from the Money Pot Podcast. Let's get to some comments here. Rosca is in the house. Montreal Canadiens need to win tonight. They do need to win tonight. It's put up or shut up time. If they don't win tonight, their season's over.
Yeah, it's win or go home.
And we'll be propelled into the offseason, which we'll get into some offseason stuff about Flyers, or tell us who your favorite team is in the comments. We'll talk about them during breaks, intermissions, what have you. We'll take you to about 9:15 tonight. Then the Flight Zone will take the reins. A2D, what's up, everyone? Greg Milakovic, what up, fellas? Completely agree to the poll. I think Greg's still down there in Florida. Maybe he's at the game. Who knows?
No, they're in Montreal tonight.
Okay. Maybe he'll go to the parade.
And how do you like – yeah, that's true. How do you like the fact that Montreal is not allowing anybody from Tampa Bay into the stadium?
Yeah, that's a crumb move. That's a crumb move if I've ever heard one.
But
it's time to get people who are vaccinated.
But Rob, Tampa Bay did the same thing. They wouldn't let anybody wear a Montreal jersey inside their stadium.
You can't do that.
They did.
We didn't even do that in Philly.
I know. The Tampa Bay.
Like, if it's an Eagles-Giants game or Eagles-Cowboys game, you come in if you dare with a Cowboys jersey or a Giants jersey on, but you're going to be getting the business, and you better
Well, they won't even let you. They wouldn't even allow people from Montreal, from Canada, to wear Canadian jerseys
because of COVID.
No, because they're just,
you can't do that. What if someone retired? What if someone from Montreal retired to Tampa Bay, where it's warm?
I'm not saying you're not allowed to root for them, but they wouldn't let you wear Canadian gear inside that stadium.
That's low class. Then I don't blame. I don't blame Montreal. I don't blame Montreal for doing that.
That's why I'm saying I have no problem with it, because you know what, Montreal is just kicking them back in the butts. Okay, you're gonna sell it. You guys want to celebrate? You can celebrate winning the Stanley Cup.
You see my point? Maybe you can't afford tickets. You can't. The only time you're going to get to see Montreal in the Stanley Cup is in Florida, where you've relocated to, and you can't wear a T-shirt.
Nope,
that's pretty bad.
That is.
How come I don't see this on the? We just see. Whoa, an Eagles fan yelled in the face of a Vikings fan, or.
Well, you guys every time you guys do something, the whole world has to know about it. But
I know, because somebody threw a snowball at Santa Claus, who showed up drunk and late to his appearance in 1964. 1964, Brad, that happened.
Rob, I'm just telling you what happened.
I hear you. That's pretty bad. Brian Wilson's in the house. Get the brooms out. Matt Moore, he's on the hill in Wrigley. That's not good. Probably the smartest thing Brian Wilson's ever said right there. Matt Moore being on the bump in Wrigley Field.
Yeah, but Arrieta's pitching for the Cubs, so don't worry.
He's good again, I thought. Well, I guess no one's really good on the Cubs.
His ERA is 5.5.
He was doing good in the beginning. I don't know.
In the beginning, he was doing good.
Cubs have kind of caught me by surprise, but now they're kind of coming back the year. I think they're the 9-10 losses in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Brewers are on fire.
And and the Phillies, they really need to get some wins, because they're going up to Boston this weekend, and I just don't see that going well at all for them. No,
and I don't care if Wheeler's pitching; it pitches every game. Boston is pretty good this year. They find ways to win this year. So
they did take two or three from the Padres over the weekend in Philly.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, the Padres have not been a very good road team this year. I believe they lost 3 out of 4 to the Mets too. So it's not like they've been all that great on the East Coast against East Coast teams. And the Phillies did a nice job this weekend, winning 2 out of 3. You can't be upset about that. That's a very good ball club, the San Diego Padres. So that was a good thing for them. But San Diego did a nice job bringing guys in. I'll tell you what, Joe Musgrove has really been good this year. I've always thought he was a shitty pitcher, and look what happened. You put him on a good team, and now all of a sudden he's really good.
I mean, can anybody look good on the stinky Pirates, except for Adam Frazier, who's second in the National League in hits with 103? No one.
No,
Pirates stink.
Really. Yeah, not really. Not now.
Jesse Davis, Lightning sweep, so he agrees to the poll. He also thinks the Phillies are a poorly run organization, never going to win with bad ownership and no farm system. Let's see. We got Dombrowski now. Dombrowski is the be-all, end-all of baseball operations here. He wouldn't come here if he wasn't.
As far as poor ownership, though, that's not really fair. I mean, you do have a $198 million payroll. I mean, you could complain if it was a $150 million payroll. I mean, I know I complain all the time about Hal Steinbrenner, yes. So I get that, but it's not like they're not spending money. They just have not.
It's just so poor. It's just poor. It's just every guy they sign, they gets hurt. I mean, it looks like Didi's back now, but that was looking really iffy for a while with that arthritis in his elbow, whatever he's got. I forget the exact name of it. That sounded scary. I mean, Brad, this outfield is horrendous. The Phillies' outfield is horrendous. Andrew McCutchen is washed. Odubel Herrera stinks. And Bryce Harper is really good over and right. But, I mean.
Sounds like our outfield, Rob. Judge is still playing great baseball. 18 home runs, has a lot of RBIs. But Frazier's now out, so we don't need. Thank God we don't have to watch him anymore. But now we got 100-year-old Gardner who can't hit his way out of a paper bag, and Antahor, who's a butcher in the outfield. He's just as bad in the outfield as he is in the infield, and he's only hitting about 240. So that's another problem for them. So I think I see the Yankees and Phillies, and I see a lot of similarities with that team.
Yeah, we've been talking about that kind of all season.
It really it's
a slow, lumbering, unathletic team.
Yep.
Way too many strikeouts. Yeah. Not enough pitching.
Big names that don't produce. A lot of guys.
See, I don't really think that's fair with the Phillies because Harper's producing. Granted, he's been a little banged up this year, more so than in years past.
I'm not blaming Harper.
I understand, but people are. I'm just saying. And then Wheeler.
I don't think Harper is the problem in Philadelphia. I think your bullpen is incredibly bad again.
The problem with look at the Dodgers. They pay Mookie Betts all that money. They give Trevor Bauer all that money. They give this guy and that guy all money. They print money out there. But what they do is they supplement their big money guys with farm system and role guys like Max Muncy. Where did he come from? Justin Turner. Where did he come from?
He was.
I understand, but it's just an example. It's just an example. He's not a big money guy. He's not Mookie Betts. You know what I'm saying?
Justin Turner's has had one hell of a career.
He's terrific. He's terrific.
He
never strikes out. He gets on base. He's a great glove. He's a five-tool guy.
Met fans are still upset about him not being on the Mets. It's been 10 years? 10 years.
He wasn't the one that was making all the errors in the World Series, was he?
No.
Who was that? The second baseman.
Second base. Well, Justin Turner was not. No, that was Murphy.
Daniel Murphy.
Yeah, Danny Murphy, who by the way was one hell of a hitter also, but he was.
Who cares? Every ground ball went right through his legs.
Well, yeah, that's why when he was a free agent they did. That's why when he went free agent they didn't re-sign him.
Tommy Arnone's in the house. Trump 2020. He says the Bolts ended tonight. I can't disagree with that. Tommy Arnone's in the house. I believe Tommy's still in Tennessee with his baseball team.
Good luck, Tom.
I think they're doing pretty well. It wasn't the best of luck the rest of the week. Not sure how much longer they're going to be there, but hopefully they rack up some wins. And by the way, you were right on the money. Speaking of baseball coaches and managers, you were right on the money with Joe Girardi. That guy's an idiot.
I told you that.
You did.
Listen, how many times did
you told me for 4 years. He
had a winning record, but of course he had a winning record.
Of course he did.
Look at the talent he had. But when the game gets in anytime he has to outmanage another manager, he gets killed. You know what I'm saying?
But he's brutal. The one game last week, I think it was the 6th or 7th inning. Eflin had 80 pitches, something like that. He lets Eflin bat in the 7th, has him go back out, and then pulls him out right away.
What was the score? Were they ahead?
I can't recall the exact details, but just pinch hit for him.
80 pitches. I mean,
maybe he had more than that.
If you're thinking about if you only want to keep him out there for one out, then you might as well just pinch hit him and have somebody.
No kidding. That's the point of the argument.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
He's brutal.
I'm not surprised.
And then I know he's working with a short deck in terms of his bullpen, and he just sits there with. I would sit there too. I'd freak out and kill someone if I was the manager of the Phillies because no one wants to step up and do anything.
The biggest problem I had with Joe Girardi was that if somebody was getting whacked around, he let it go on way too long before he would make a move. and I could never understand why he used to do that. I mean, a starting pitcher, if you could see that he doesn't have it, he'd wait till the game was over before he made a pitching change. And he does that with relief pitchers. He used to sit there. Listen, he was good with the bullpen as far as giving them enough rest. He never had anybody, get worn out because of overuse, because he would never let anybody pitch 3 days in a row. That he was real good about, and he would always find somebody to do the innings. But the problem is he would let guys give up 3-4 runs before he'd take them out. And that I could never understand. Just like, what do you do? Joe, put down the green tea and get yourself out there and get him out of there. Or if you don't want to do it, send one of your other guys out there to take him out.
Getting ready to drop the puck here in Montreal. So we'll be live reacting to the game for the duration of the show. Vasilevsky in a closeout game is just money. And Curry Price, I mean, not that he really has a chance in this series. I mean, Tampa Bay is just too good. I mean, like you said, he's got to play good. They're getting ready to drop the puck. Bryce Blackwell, he thinks the Bolts ended tonight. Bryce Blackwell would also take a discount to win. I couldn't leave. I would be sick to my stomach if I left money on the table and something happened to me.
But again,
I'd be sick.
You have to think about how much money. And in Tampa Bay's case, with the tax advantages, it's not as much as you might think.
Okay.
You're still bringing home. And yeah, Bryce Blackwell, rest in peace, Martis Kivlenix. That what a terrible story that was yesterday.
I mean, he was lighting off fireworks and
no, he was taking a shower, and he heard the fireworks. I guess he came out and then he slipped. He slipped because his feet were wet. He slipped and fell, and he died from chest contusions. I think
that's a mighty fall.
Yeah, well, that can happen though.
Bryce Blackwell, he's ready for the NFL season. Yes, it is July 5th, end of the month. Training camps.
Me too.
Training camps are going to be getting.
I've had enough of baseball. I've been the Yankees. The Yankees.
The poor Yankees. They haven't won a World Series since 2009. Holy smokes! You guys got it so rough up there.
Well, this season's been pretty bad, Rob. There were a lot where
we have every season's the same. It's like it's the same disastrous bullshit. Lose every game the same way every night for years and years and years and years. They've had the Phillies have had 2 World Series in like 150 years. They're horrible.
Well, yeah, you guys have had it worse than we have, most definitely. But
Trump.
The Yankees are a lot. The Yankees' record is not indicative of just how bad they are. They're 1 game over 500, which would tell you they're a mediocre team. They're a lot worse than that. Trust me, they are a lot worse. I mean, last night it got to a point where their bullpen was so bad. They actually Chad Green came in the 4th inning of the second game of the doubleheader against the Mets and actually pitched 3 innings, which he doesn't normal. I mean, he's a middle inning. He's the 8th inning guy for them. He comes in. He actually pitched 3 innings because he was so good in the first inning that Boone figured, you know what, I can't bring in Chapman because they were yelling fire Boone in the first game when he brought in Chapman. They booed the hell out of Boone, and then they booed the hell out of Chapman when he got bombed, and then they started chanting fire Boone. So I guess he kind of figured in the second game of the doubleheader, he can't bring in Chapman again and let him get bombed again. So Green pitched 3 innings, but I mean, this is what it's become. Loaisiga and Green are the only guys performing at any kind of professional level.
Game is underway in Montreal. Nothing. The Canadiens, they struggle to even get the puck up ice against this team.
Yeah,
that's how nice little rush, but they dump it in and they chase it.
Look at the forechecking though. I mean, you watch Tampa Bay forecheck. I mean, it's really hard for them, and it looks like Tampa Bay plays defensively in layers, and you have to get through all the layers to get there. And see when they try to move the puck across the front of the net, there's always somebody there. Montreal has let Tampa Bay, basically their guys, camp out in front of the net in their own zone for undetermined lengths of time. The only one that's actually moved anybody from the front of the net that I've seen is Shea Weber. Other than that, it's like they're getting gifted shots in front of in the slot all the time. I mean, Carey Price admittedly hasn't been himself the first 3 games of this series, but it's not all his fault. I mean, their defense has been horrible. I mean, they're getting exposed.
But like, I'm watching this game. I feel like there's 8 white jerseys out there, and there's only 5 red jerseys.
Well, it does seem that way, and it just seems like when Tampa Bay gets out of their own zone, they don't do it with all that much difficulty. The Canadiens have not been able to put the forecheck on them and cause them to make mistakes in their own end and try to take advantage of that. They just haven't been able to do that. Yeah, as I said, I think that this Tampa Bay team is one of the best teams we've seen in a long time.
The best teams, like who was the best team? Who was the best team? Like, is this team better than the Tampa Bay Lightning of last year?
Oh, well, God, yes. And I don't care if they won the President's Trophy or not. This year in the playoffs, they've had Kucherov and Stamkos. Last year they only had Kucherov, and this year during the season they only had Stamkos. I mean, they're better this year, and they really didn't lose any crucial players on their team. Now they are going to lose. They are going to end up losing, 2 of the fabulous 3 guys on that fourth line, which obviously has helped. But I got to be honest with you. Tampa Bay is just such a smart team. If they lose Goudreau and they lose Maroon, they'll find 2 other guys that can play on the fourth line. I mean, they're a smart team. They just will, because that's what they do.
Now here they go, up and down the ice again. It's a turnover. Montreal's getting a decent rush here.
Yeah, Montreal cannot get past center ice. I mean, that's just seems to be the story right now.
And make a turnover, but their defense is right there.
Yeah, exactly. Tampa Bay comes up the ice. Stamkos basically just walks right to center ice and fires it in, and didn't get hit. And again, another guy in front of the net, and Price has to make a big save. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, they're always getting these chances in front of the net. There's another shot from the slot. I mean, it was blocked, but it's been constant for poor Carey Price. They are always shooting in the slot. I mean, that was a quality scoring opportunity right there. The one where they just showed the replay, and again, you're looking at this, and nice play by the way by Stoll, but that should have been a penalty. But it just seems like it just happens over and over. Montreal is just out talented in this series. I mean, they're already getting outshot. I think 6-0, 9-0. I mean, it's just this is kind of how the series has been. Again, I could see Carey Price maybe standing on his head tonight, and keeping them in the game. But I just, how's Montreal going to score if the puck's never in Tampa Bay's end?
Brian Daly, they do let you wear road gear. You have to sit in a specific section.
Okay, my apologies. But they don't let you do it. But I know they don't let you wear it in the lower level.
It's still nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's outrageous that they do that. I mean, could you imagine if they did that in Philly? You guys would never hear the end of it. They would be all over you. Or if we did, could you imagine if we didn't let Red Sox
any in Northeast cities?
Yeah,
it would be bedlam.
Yeah, could you imagine if you went to if you were at a Yankee Boston game, and they told the Boston fans they can't wear their jerseys going into Yankee Stadium, or that the Yankees would be crucified, and rightfully so in Boston. If they did that in Boston would be crucified for that.
I mean, fans go on road trips all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on.
Go see their team, especially for football.
And if they want to sit in the first damn row, and they're paying tickets, they're paying their money to sit in the first damn row. If they want to wear, as long as it's not offensive, if they want to wear the road team's jersey.
There is a way to do this the right way. Like, you can't be the most obnoxious fan in the world if you have the other team's jersey.
But if you get kicked out, it'll be because you're not behaving well. It's not going to be because you're wearing a freaking jersey of the visiting team. I mean, that's the most ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And I had to make sure I brought that up because I wanted to make sure that was known. Because I know the Canadians aren't the Canadian government is not letting Tampa Bay into Canada if they have tickets to go to the game. So, and I know they're taking the Canadians are taking a beating from some of the hockey fans around. But listen, Tampa Bay started it with that stupidity of you have to sit in a certain section if you're wearing a Tampa Bay. I mean, come on, are you kidding me? I mean, shame. And that's a Florida team. I'm surprised. I didn't think the Florida fan base was. I mean, I know the Dolphin fan base is really bad. I've heard that from friends of mine who've actually gone to Dolphin games against the Jets and were really treated horrendously badly. Although I
wouldn't know. It doesn't get reported on the news. But if we yell in the face, if I go to the game and have a couple too many pops and I yell at a Giants fan, it's going to be front page news, CNN, everywhere about what monsters. I'd be banned. I'd be this. I'd be that. I'd be ostracized. I'd be called a monster and a jerk off and just a typical Philly guy. But you don't hear about the Dolphins fans.
No.
Dolphins fans are crumbs. Who knew?
They're bad.
How would you know? It's not. No one reports it anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure that people know that it's not just a Philly or New York or Boston thing. I just think that when it's bad enough when the fans are acting like idiots to each other. That's bad enough. But when the home team's management says you can't wear a certain jersey, I mean, come on.
Isn't that not the way the world works? Aren't you supposed to be able, like in 2021, you're supposed to be like, I mean, Christ, you take estrogen for a year and I could be in a women's weightlifting competition, the Olympics. The Olympics.
Yeah.
They've been around in the Olympics. They've been having them since Christ was alive, Brad.
I know.
My God. Now you take estrogen for a year, you can be in a women's weightlifting competition, but God forbid you smoke a fucking joint and you're out.
Yeah, that's insane. They
should let that poor girl run.
I mean, for God's and she knows she made a mistake, okay? But I mean,
mistake.
It's
joint
mistake. First of all, it's legal in a lot of states in this country. So the fact that
that's the world, it's legal like everywhere in the world.
Yeah,
certain narrow-minded states in this country.
Exactly. So I mean, to me that's insane. But it's okay to drink. It's okay to drink and go out to a club and get drunk, but it's not okay. It's not okay to smoke a joint, which, by the way, doesn't make you violent. It makes you anti-violent. It kind of just knocks you out. So, ridiculous.
Peter Evans is in the house. Brinks and Brad, hope you had a great 4th of July. Brad was absolutely correct on Girardi. So there's Pete giving you some props. Check out Pete tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Birds of a Feather, each and every Tuesday night, right here on A2D Radio. But yeah, I mean, it's we got Dante. He says you'll be able to wear what you want at the game. I totally agree. That's entirely ridiculous. I'm assuming that's Zachary Leahy. You guys are missing Brazil and Peru. We're not missing anything. I'm not sorry. And God bless you, Zach. If you're a big soccer guy, it's a terrific sport. It takes a lot of skill to be good at it. And some of these Euro games that I've caught actually have been rather entertaining. But, I mean...
Oh, yeah, no, they're good games. They're very good games.
Check out Kicking It Stateside if you like soccer. They've been on top of the Euro tournament. I think there's 4 teams left. Spain's one of them. They'll probably win.
See the USA? Do you see the USA women's team last week make mincemeat out of Mexico?
Well, the U.S. women's team. I mean,
Yeah.
did they even let the men's team in the Olympics?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. They don't make any noise because they just aren't good.
They stink. Yeah.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Guys are missing. Joints are fine. It's not legal in Japan yet. I mean, okay, you got me there. Sorry, I don't know the rules of Japan. But, I mean, weed is not a big deal. Anyone who thinks weed's a big deal is a loser.
Yeah, I would agree.
Just a loser.
1,000%.
You're just a loser. I mean, if you're a big-time athlete training for – I mean, you're an idiot for smoking weed because, like you said, it knocks you out. It makes you lazy. It gives you the munchies. It's not what a highly trained athlete should be doing if they want to be successful.
No, but if she was in hysterics about her father and she was trying to calm down, then come on.
Well, I mean that's
what is wrong with these people that they have to be so Neanderthal about everything? It's just it's ridiculous. I feel bad for that kid. I really do. So
U.S. men's team is pretty freaking good now.
Let's see him actually win a game.
Well, the last time they had the World Cup, the U.S. men's team wasn't allowed to play because they weren't good enough, which is an embarrassment. So until I see them do something on the world stage,
I don't care about them making it. Let's see him actually win 2 games in the Olympics.
Beat teams that don't have electricity in their country.
Yeah, I mean, don't tell me don't beat Ghana and make like you've done anything.
Ghana, they play on dirt pits.
Yeah,
they have no technology. They're poor countries, and I'm not trying to take a shot at anyone, but the USA, we have these outstanding facilities. I believe that they're headquartered out in Colorado. They're multi-million-dollar facilities. You listen to these countries, they practice. They don't even have cleats. They can't afford cleats. They can't afford jerseys. They play on dirt pits. It's terrible.
The problem is that the best athletes don't play soccer in this country. That's really the problem. I mean, the best athletes want to play baseball or football or basketball, and even hockey. Hockey in this country, hockey is ahead of soccer. That should tell you all you really need to know.
The NBA Finals is set. I'm sure we'll be getting into that in the weeks to come. We get a hockey night tonight. Nothing. Tampa Bay, Montreal. But, I mean, Brad, I'm watching this game. We have it on here in the background live reacting to it. It's only going to be a matter of time before Tampa Bay scores a goal.
Tampa Bay's been it's been all Tampa Bay. I mean, they've outshot them 11-2 or something like that. I mean, they've had all the opportunities. Montreal has had trouble even getting it in the zone. And when they do get a shot, it's one and done. I mean, Tampa Bay will get a shot. Price is making a save. They're able to keep it in the zone, work it around, and try to get another shot. I mean, Montreal is basically, as soon as they give up possession of the puck in the offensive zone, they lose the puck. They don't get it back. I mean, whether it's they're trying to shoot or trying to make a pass, it ends up getting blocked, and Tampa Bay gets it out of the zone freely. So, I mean, Montreal, they are really up against it. They are going to have to find a way to give up no more than 2 goals tonight. At the most, I think the only way they win is if they give up 1 goal. So I think somehow the Canadiens will find a way to get a goal or 2 tonight.
I mean, what was it? Game 3, they lost 6-3. They got 3 goals in that game, and they still got.
Yeah, well, that was the game they tried to go up and down with them, because they lost 4-1 in the first game, and they tried to play conservatively, and that didn't work. They tried to go up and down with them in game 2. And they got blown out. And then game 3, they got off to a terrible start. They scored an early goal, and then the unfortunate penalty for shooting the puck directly into the crowd. And that caused.
That just can't happen against mistakes like that, unforced errors like that against a team this good like Tampa Bay is just.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, the one thing, and you take a look at Tampa Bay's power play. I mean. They're always managing to get their first line out there for almost the whole 2 minutes. It's remarkable how how they're able to do it. I mean, when you have a first line of Kucherov, Stamkos, and Point, I mean, that's just very hard. It's very hard to defend a team that has that kind. Now, that should have been a penalty. I don't know if they called it or not, but that should have been a penalty. See, now there's a time where they actually had a little sustained pressure there. But that's part of the problem, Rob. They're not getting sustained pressure at all.
No, it's one and done.
Yeah, and that's it's like it's the same thing as basketball, Rob. If you're always one and done, you get one shot and then you're done, and you never get an offensive rebound, you're never gonna win.
Zachary Leahy. I'm Rob Brinkman. I'm a Philly guy. He's Brad Ryer. He's a New York guy. Together, we are the Sports Hounds, and we try and give you a little bit of a national perspective on things here on Monday nights. We talk a lot of football in the fall. We got the Monday Night Football slot. Football's about to ramp up. We have some football shows coming up, so lock it in here. You get a little bit of everything. You get soccer talk, you get marijuana talk, you get pop culture talk, and we don't pull punches, and we tell the truth. We're not going to sugarcoat anything for you.
No, and sometimes that's much to our detriment, but that's just the way.
I'm not. I don't do this to be Mr. Popular, and I don't do this to score interviews. I don't do this to kiss anybody's ass. I don't do this. I do it because I love it, and I want my opinions to be heard about something I'm passionate about, and that's my Philadelphia sports teams. And I don't even know. I don't even know if I'm out of the doghouse for saying the Sixers blow, because the Sixers do blow, and I can't stand them. They make it very hard to be a fan.
How did the fan base take the fact that Milwaukee beat Atlanta without Giannis? I don't think
anybody I don't think everyone's just basketballed out. They're just away from it.
I don't know. If that was me, that would have just made me nuts. The fact that you mean you beat Atlanta and you didn't even have your best player. I mean, come on. I mean, that would have made me really annoyed.
It's just the Sixers. It's just such a joke. It's such a joke because you look at the two teams. One made the finals, one didn't. You look at the Hawks. They had one of the top picks just a few years ago, and they grabbed Trae Young, and they're in the Eastern Conference Finals before you. When you lost all these games on purpose for years and years and totally embarrassed the city of Philadelphia, the game of basketball, your franchise, your fans, everyone involved, because it was a scam and it was a fraud. And you have the Phoenix Suns, who had the number one pick 2 years ago, grabbed DeAndre Ayton, picked up Devin Booker. By the way, Devin Booker wasn't even a top 5 pick. I think he went 9th in his draft. And then you bring in a guy like Chris Paul. And I was told the only way you can win a championship in the NBA is to lose on purpose and get all these high draft picks. And now I get two teams that lost 0 games on purpose, in the Suns and the Hawks, and they're in the conference finals before you even sniff a conference finals. It's a total joke. It's a total joke. And I can't believe Hinkie died for our skins. Hinkie's a loser. Sam Hinkie is a loser. I used to do what Scam Hinkie did in college. I have a few drinks with my buddies, and we would play Xbox, and we would do all these trades and make all these super teams. That's how Scam Hinkie thinks you build an NBA champion. Like he's playing Xbox. It's a total joke, and I feel I'm so angry that I was taking.
Unfortunately,
Brad, I'm so angry that I was taken advantage of in that manner. And I'm mad that I halfway bought it, even though I knew when it was happening that they weren't drafting good enough to justify all their losing on purpose.
Well, that's the problem. You can have all the top draft picks you want. If you're not bringing in the right players, then then you've basically wasted all those seasons that they were horrible. Now, listen, they have arguably the best center in basketball, obviously, but I mean, arguably one of the best centers to hit the NBA in this millennium. I mean, I think that's very much that's a pretty accurate statement. I mean, you look at some of the lifetime numbers. I mean, I took a look at Shaquille O'Neal the other day. Okay, Shaquille O'Neal, as great as he was, okay, do you know how many points he averaged per game in his career?
25.
23. and he averaged 10 rebounds. So overall, I mean, yeah, he was dominant, but
I mean, like, because Shaq, he hung on a little too long. To be fair,
yeah, he ruined. I mean, he kind of did ruin his. He kind of did ruin his.
Wow, look at that, Montreal lighting the lamp. It's a big goal. You said that you said that they had to score first to win this hockey game.
They just did, and that's a big goal for them, and they had to do that. That was it. That was.
Look at this. You get a turnover.
That was, and you know what? That was
a nice give and go.
That was their second. That was their second shot of the game. Yep, Tampa Bay coughed up the puck.
That's a beautiful backhand pass.
Oh, that's a great pass.
Who's that? Gallagher in the slot there?
No, that's that was Caulfield drove everybody over there, and Gallagher scored. Yes, but you know what? The big play there was the fact that see what happens though when you go to the net, Rob. You see, Caulfield went to the net, and two guys followed him.
But like, I feel like
he came in, and then he came in late. Gallagher came in late and scored, and that's
Josh Anderson. Actually.
Oh, it was Josh Anderson. Okay, but that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. I mean, and you know that was just a fantastic pass, though.
They're winning faceoffs.
Montreal.
Now we're gonna get a little chippy.
Yeah, Montreal finally has a lead, so now they can play the kind of hockey.
Are they calling penalties here?
No, I don't think so. No harm.
Montreal. I don't have the box score up in front of me. Montreal seems to be winning faceoffs tonight as well.
Yeah, but they're getting outshot. They've been outshot 11-2 so far. So I mean, territorially, they have not been getting clobbered.
Well, that was a good rip.
Zachary Taylor's, 70. Yeah, well, talking about the dominance of the Canadiens in the 70s.
Look at Vasilevsky. A little jab right to the face. I like it.
Yeah, well, you know what? If somebody's in your crease, you've got to react. I mean, after he had the puck in his glove and they blew the play dead, the guy hit him in the glove and knocked the puck in the net. Yeah, you're the goalie. The goalie is supposed. If you're a goalie, you should be punching the guy in the face that did that. I mean, that's hockey, Rob. There's nothing wrong with that.
Jesse Davis, Montreal fans are probably sick. They're going to lose the cup, but imagine Islander fans losing 1-0 in Game 7 to a team that's going to sweep the cup. Yeah, I mean, that was a tremendous series, and someone had to lose, and Tampa was just better.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sick to my stomach if I were an Islanders fan losing that game. Yeah, it's kind of stings you lose 1-0 and you don't score a goal, but
you also lost 8-0 too.
Yeah, but sometimes you play and you fight and you lose.
Yep, I mean that's the whole thing. I mean it's the Islanders are an outstanding team. I think you could make the argument that after the playoffs that they're the second best team in the league, without question. But the second best team doesn't get anything for that. You don't get anything for coming in second.
No,
not unless you're actually in the Stanley Cup Finals. Then that does matter because people remember that. But nobody remembers that you lost in 7 in the semifinals. Nobody cares that you lost in the semifinals in 7 games.
Jesse Davis, Tampa's strength is their depth. Teams like Boston with the perfection line can't compete because of depth.
Yeah, Boston has two. They have 2 offensive lines. After they were able to bring in to bring in the Taylor Hall, they were their second line started scoring, and that's when they started doing real well. But Boston's fourth lines don't do enough offensively to help the team. None of them stepped up.
I'll tell you what, Brad, Tampa's getting a little sloppy with this puck.
Yeah.
So I think that if Montreal can get another quick one here somehow, and Montreal's sustaining rushes right now, they're getting pressure. They're not one and done like they were in the first 10 minutes of the game.
They're playing very confident hockey, but here's the thing. They're not going to shut Tampa Bay out. I think we would both agree with that. So when Tampa Bay scores, the question is how they're going to react to it. And Montreal is going to have to score to win this game. You're not going to get a situation where they're going to score 1 or 2 goals and beat Tampa Bay. I think they got to score some goals. And Brandon Point getting suckered into a penalty by, was that Paul Emlin? No, Evans. I mean, Brandon Point has to be smarter than that. You can't let that guy Evans get you out of the game for 2 minutes. I mean, that's Montreal will take that exchange every day of the week. And that was, by the way, a great play by Vasilevsky to get the puck and knock it over. So now they're going to play 4-on-4, but no Point out there, and that's a win. That's a win for the Canadiens if he's not going to play for 2 minutes. I mean, you want to get guys like that off the ice. If you can get Stamkos mad and get him off the ice for a couple of minutes, or get Kucherov off the ice for a couple of minutes, they'll take that too. But 4-on-4 is not where the Canadiens want to be with the Lightning. That's not an event. That's not something they want to do.
Andy Ritter, he's in the house. What's going on? How's the game? 1-0 Montreal. 2 minutes left in the first period. We got a 4-on-4 hockey for the next 90 seconds. So basically, the rest of the first period would be 4-on-4.
Right. Really, territorially, the first 15 minutes of this game was all Tampa Bay. Montreal got the goal, and now they seem to have been playing a lot better. They seem to be a little sharper now, and we'll see what happens. As Tampa Bay's been a little loose in their own end for the last few minutes. We'll see what happens here.
Zach, the Flyers stink right now. He hasn't been watching much of the NHL. Flyers they don't stink. I don't think that's a fair word for it. They're very meh. They're very average.
They had a bad year last year. And you know what? We'll see what happens this year.
I mean, do we have a goalie or do we not have a goalie? We thought we had a goalie, and then last year happened. Now no one's sure, and I don't even know.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions right now in Philadelphia, but we'll see. We haven't got into the fact that there are some guys that are going to get moved in the summer. And Philadelphia is in on a lot of.
We got another penalty. It's going to be 4-on-4.
No, it's going to be 4-on-3.
4-on-3, excuse me.
And Blake Coleman, who is another one of those fourth line players that's dominant. If Tampa Bay's going to have a 34-second 4-on-3, Montreal better win this faceoff. I mean, this faceoff win is a must for them. There's going to be a lot of guys available this summer, especially defensemen, and I would think that the Flyers would be in on a lot of these guys. Seth Jones is going to be traded.
That's the popular name in Flyerland right now.
Yeah, Seth Jones. Seth Jones is a big right-handed defenseman who has a great shot, can run a power play. He does everything well. He's one of the top 5 defensemen in the league. He'd be an awfully nice fit for you guys.
Can the Flyers afford him?
Well, he's making $8 million. Let's put it this way: he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. Okay, so
you trade for him in the summer. You get him for the full season, then you got to pay him.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I mean, but the whole thing with that is that you can actually, if you get him for a year, okay, then you can watch him play and you can see how he performs in Philadelphia, if he can handle it, yada 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 yada. So you got to.
But aren't you boxed in? Aren't you boxed in once you trade for him to pay him?
Depends what you're giving up in a trade.
What do you think it'd take? I mean, I don't really see much here for the Flyers to trade.
For a 1-year guy, I mean, that's kind of where you're at right now. What is it going to take? And the Flyers do have enough young players that they can trade to get them. I think what it would take is they're going to have to give up one of their. They just hit the crossbar. It looks like. Tampa Bay did anyway. It would probably take a first round pick, most definitely, and then it would probably take. I'm guessing it would probably take Konechny and I want to say Gostisbehere, but I don't know about that. I've heard Gostisbehere mentioned in a trade with Calgary for Johnny Hockey.
Seth Jones for Coots. I don't know if I can do that. Coots is my best two-way.
Not Coots. Konechny.
I understand. That's what Jesse Davis said in the comments. Seth Jones for Coots.
No.
I'm not doing that. I mean, I get Coots is now 31 or 30, 29, whatever he is.
Seth Jones is not young either. He's like 27 or 28. So I mean, it's not like you're talking about a 23, 24-year-old go, look at this, end of the period, and everybody's out there. Oh, here we go. They're trying to go after Victor Hedman. They'd love to get him off the ice. This is very dangerous.
Another guy that's just a stud for Tampa, Victor Hedman.
Yeah, now they're going out. Now they're going after Kucherov, and Stamkos has to go in. Hedman's a big boy though. If you're gonna go after Edmondson. Yeah, Edmondson is a very tough customer. That's another guy the Rangers are trying to target to get because he's going to be a free agent. He's also on the Flyers hit list for guys that they would like to get. But there are a lot. I mean, you take a look at some of the centers that are available. Jack Eichel is definitely going to get traded, possibly to the Rangers. Depends on what Buffalo is asking for. Mike Giordano on the Calgary Flames. Johnny Hockey on the Calgary Flames. It's another one. So those are some guys. Those are some guys that are definitely going to get traded. Matthew Tkachuk. Now that's an interesting one. Out of Calgary, there's a guy who's got a very.
I mean, I seem to see Calgary is going to be shaking things up.
Calgary wants to change their the guys that they're building with. They don't think that they can win with the personnel that they've acquired. So they want to try to change the nucleus and get a different nucleus. So you're going to see Tarasenko on the St. Louis Blues. He's another one that's going to get traded. So,
I would like to have him in the Flyers uniform. I know he's had some injuries.
Makes a lot of money though too.
Well, that's what.
In 2 years, it's. I think he's only on the. I think you only have to pay him for 2 more years though. Matthew Tkachuk, I think this year is $7.5 million, and then he's a restricted free agent, but he's a qualifying restricted free agent. You have to make a qualifying offer of $9.3 million to keep him. So if you want to get Matthew Tkachuk, that's going to be pretty expensive, but he's a heck of a player. I mean, some of the guys that Calgary is looking to move are real good players.
The Flyers, they got no zing, they got no pep, they got nothing. They got nothing to get me excited. I
think Gaudreau is the most likely guy to go to the Flyers.
So what's he going to cost me?
From what I now this is what I've read, that the Flames are going to want Konechny, Gostisbehere, and a first-round pick.
Done.
So that would be something.
Done.
Yeah, that would be something that you really should do, because if you do that, then you can get put Kevin Hayes on the third line, because that's where Kevin Hayes really belongs. You put him on the third line, and he will be a dominant player. Okay, when you put him on the first line, okay, and he's going up against other first-line players, he's not as good as those guys. Okay, so he may score some points, but he's going to be a negative player. You put him on the third line, and he'll probably be like a plus 20, because then he's got the size and he's got a nice shot, and when he's skating and he's playing his game, he's very effective. But I never liked him as a first line center. I'm not really so sure about him as a second line center either. But the Flyers last year used him as a first line center, and that was a problem to me. I mean, I know they're paying him a lot of money, but and I told you when he first came aboard, I was not crazy about him. I think he's kind of a lazy player. So if you can get a guy like Johnny Hockey to come over, that would be a real good deal for them.
Seth Jones
I've also heard for Seth Jones. It just popped in my mind. If I remember correctly, I've also heard that Columbus is interested in Voracek. Now, if you could do that, that would be something that I would if I were the Flyers, I would make that. I would hang up before they.
Now, I got to call bullshit on that rumor because why would you ever be interested in Voracek?
Because Columbus needs guys who can score, and Voracek has scored over 20 goals in 6 seasons already. And right now, Columbus is they're going to be in trouble. Seth Jones is not going to re-sign with them, and they want to get somebody.
Seth Jones just turned 26.
26, okay.
Jesse Davis in the
Well,
YouTube chat.
But he's going to be So in his age 27 season is when he's going to be a free agent, which is good because you could give him an 8-year deal, and he'll only be 35 when he's done. So you would have to think that he'd age okay with a long-term contract if you gave him the 8-year max. So
I just watched. I mean, Tampa is the gold standard right now, and when it comes to hockey. And I just look at like the Flyers and how they played this season, and I look at how Tampa plays back-to-back Stanley Cups. Probably they're just not even in the same league. Well,
to me, the next team that's going to dominate is going to be Colorado. Colorado is experiencing the growing pains, some growing pains like Tampa Bay did, where they're just not able to get over the hump. But one of these years, they will get over the hump and they will win the Stanley Cup because they've got an unbelievable amount of talent.
Jesse Davis, I think the Flyers need to break up the 2014 core. They keep trying the JVR, Jay, Coots, and G as your top 4 forwards, and it's not working. I'd keep G and go younger. But I want a new look Flyers next year on opening night. I want a new look.
You don't really have a choice with Giroux. Okay.
I don't want to rebuild because I'm not trying to get scammed into another process like the asshole Sixers did to me.
You don't need to do that. You got a lot of good young players. What they need to do is they need to trade a couple of these good young players and bring in a star. As the Flyers badly need a star player on their team. That's why I'm pushing Johnny Hockey. I mean, and he wants to come back to Philly in the worst way. He does. He grew up a Flyer fan. He's from South Jersey. I mean, he's made no bones about that. He's already said when he finishes his career, he wants to finish his career in Philly. So I mean, that's something that he would gladly waive his no trade contract for that. So and Calgary has to move him, I think, before either right before the draft or right after the draft, or his no trade kicks in, which means then they have to pay him then they'll have to pay him to accept the trade. So, I think at this point they're going to do that. And Jesse, I disagree with you. They have the goaltending. Grubauer is an excellent goalie. Defensively, Makar has made a big difference for them, and they still have Joseph. They've got enough on defense. They're still a very, very young team. I think they just need to go through the wars a little bit, but they're right there. I mean, if they can make one move and they have one big time player, a defenseman probably. If they could find a way to get Seth Jones, although I don't really think they need quite that kind of quality, that would be a big move. If they could get Martinez, who's going to be a free agent from Vegas, to move over to them, that would be a big move too. I mean, if Martinez switched teams and went from the Vegas Golden Knights to the Avalanche, that would be a huge move for a veteran guy who's won the Stanley Cup before with the LA Kings.
Oh yeah, and it makes Vegas weaker, and it makes Colorado stronger.
Yep. I mean, as much as I would like to see the Rangers get him, because I think he would love to go to the Rangers. I think that guy probably would rather win a Stanley Cup. It might take a little less money to go to Colorado. If I were him, I mean, I don't think any hockey player in the world wouldn't want to play in Colorado right now.
Flyers got to fix the defense. That's from Bryce Blackwell. Yeah, I mean, Niskanen retired, and it showed.
Yeah, there are plenty of guys who are out there that they can bring in. I can't think of the guy's name from St. Louis, who they kept saying they might trade, but I cannot remember the guy's name. But there's a guy on the St. Louis Blues who is it Dunn? Yeah, I think it's Vince Dunn. I think that's his name. That is probably going to get moved. Who's a high quality defenseman? He's another one that's probably going to get traded. I mean, there's plenty. I mean, the guy in Montreal that I just pointed out before, Joel Edmondson. He's a guy that would really work out well for them if they got that guy too. I mean, there's a lot of moves Colorado could make, but as far as Grubauer,
Colorado also, I have it right here in front of me. Colorado, $24 million under the cap.
Yeah. Oh God. Are you serious?
They're that Sportstrack.com, which is a pretty good site.
Yeah.
They want to get into the finance.
Yeah, they're going to sign. I know Gabriel Landeskog is a free agent, but there's no way they're going to let him go.
Boston. I mean, Detroit, New Jersey, Buffalo, Arizona. They're bottom feeders. They're not good. Yeah,
but when a team as good as Colorado is under the cap like that, that kind of makes you sick because you know what's going to happen.
Boston's $29 million under the cap. Your Rangers are $23 million under the cap. They could go make something happen.
Actually, they're going to be $27 million under because don't forget they're going to buy out Tony DeAngelo as soon as the season's over. So that'll add another $4 million to their being under the cap.
And then the Flyers, they're $13 million under the cap,
which means they have enough money to pay one really good player. Yeah, they'll have just one really good player they can do. And if they make a trade, if they trade Gostisbehere, I think he's making a pretty good buck, isn't he? Didn't they pay him? Didn't he get paid already?
Yeah.
So if they move him, they can. If they make a trade, let's say that Johnny Hockey trade goes through. Okay, I know the Flames would like to get Gostisbehere because they want a defenseman who's a puck mover, and they're not concerned about whether or not he can play defense. That's a guy that I think would probably benefit quite a bit being in Calgary because then he wouldn't have the pressure of Philly because Philly's tough. Listen, Philly's a tough place to play, as we all know. You have to have that.
But look at the top four guys. I mean, Giroux is making 8.2, Voracek's making 8.2, Kevin Hayes is making 7.1, Van Riemsdyk is the killer, making 7. And then Konechny's making 5.5. He's not living up to that. I mean, the only value contract they really have is Couturier at 4.3. I think that's a fair number for him. He's pretty good. Gostisbehere making 4.5. He's not living up to that.
In my opinion, Gostisbehere is a bigger problem than any of these other guys. Because he just he had such a great rookie year, and then his second year was good, but it just seems like he's never been able to he's never been able to live up to that. He just never really improved.
Look at this roster for the Flyers. I mean, Giroux. I want to read this a little. Tell me, who strikes fear into you? As a Rangers fan, Rangers and Flyers are getting ready to play a big game. Who scares you off this list? Giroux, no. Voracek, no. Kevin Hayes, no. Van Riemsdyk, definitely not.
Yes. Van Riemsdyk always scores against the Rangers, and so does Kevin Hayes.
Yeah, but he's not a $7 million player.
No, but they always score against the Rangers.
I like Kevin Hayes. I think he plays hard, and
I like Kevin Hayes too, but $7 million for him?
No, he's overpaid.
Yeah, that's.
He's the Tobias Harris of the Flyers. He's good.
Yeah, he's a good player, but
he's overpaid.
You're paying too much for him. But if you had other guys that you weren't paying, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, look, these guys are all young enough that they could rebound. Giroux isn't, but and Voracek is pretty consistent. But the Flyers need a star, and they need preferably a center who's a star. And that way, if you put him on the top of the lineup with Konechny Konechny and say who's on their first line now. Let's say Konechny and Dan Riemsdyk. Okay, with Johnny Gaudreau, you'd have yourself one hell of a team. That would be one hell of a first line. And then you could, and then everybody moves down accordingly, and it makes your team a deeper team up front. And the Flyers could use a little scoring help to go with their defense. I mean, if I were them, I would definitely be all in on Seth Jones. I think Seth Jones is the kind of guy that could be your next captain. That's how good.
Can I get Johnny Hockey and Seth Jones?
I think if you're gonna get Seth Jones, you're gonna have to probably give up Sanheim or Myers, or maybe even both, to get him in a first round pick.
I was a big fan of Phil Myers, but then he didn't have a good year last year, so now I don't know what to make of him. I don't know what to make of any of these guys on the Flyers.
Well, Sanheim, I wouldn't trade Sanheim if I were them, but I mean, if it's for Seth Jones, I'll tell you what, if you do get Seth Jones, you just better make sure, if you're giving up a lot for him, you got to make sure you sign him.
Well, I mean, can't we get permission to kind of work that part?
If Columbus lets you.
Because I can't give up a lot if I might not even resign him.
Well, that's
I don't know. The Flyers, they're just so, like I said, they're so meh. It's just meh. It's just Drew's your captain, meh. He's 33.
But they're still, but they've got a lot of young players, and they can improve their game.
I need good young players. I mean, Provorov, I think there's a good defenseman in there.
Provorov's outstanding.
Konechny, I don't know what he is.
He was, you know what though, he kept getting hurt last year. So you know what?
It'll be interesting to see.
I would give him the benefit of the doubt.
It's not something I'm good at doing, given the benefit of the doubt. Oscar Lindblom, I mean, he had cancer, but he was a really good player before his cancer diagnosis. He's gonna recover.
He has a summer to get himself in better shape and get stronger. So you have to figure he'll get better. I mean, I think Sanheim and Myers have to step up and be better again, because those guys had some atrocious games this year. I think the Flyers they need to have another defenseman to go along with
Provorov. Yeah.
I mean, that's really where it's at with them. Getting to the Rangers, how did you like our Norris Trophy winner, Adam Fox?
He was one of the few bright spots on my fantasy hockey team. I think I went 2-20.
He is one hell of a defenseman, and a lot of people around the league finally started to notice him, because he, when he had as many points as Victor Hedman, they had to notice. I mean, the guy kills penalties. He's on the power play. He plays 25, 26 minutes a game. I mean, and he's only in his second year. And I'll tell you what, anytime you see him, all you can do is just go cha-ching, because he makes all that. He's going to be making a ton of money after next year when he's a restricted free agent.
And I think we lost Rob.
We'll get him. I'm sure we'll get him back in a couple of minutes.
I know he's probably going to come back. I know you guys are going to be wrapping up real soon.
Yeah, we are going to be wrapping up. As far as hockey goes, though, there's a lot of players who are going to get traded this year. There's a lot of big stars that are going to get traded this year, and I think you're going to see a couple of them land in Philly. I think you're going to see a couple of them land in New York. You had the one big guy from Edmonton, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who re-signed with Edmonton. So at this point, he's no longer on the table, but there's a lot of real good, serviceable players that can make the Flyers better. So that, I think you're going to see that, and you're going to have a better year next year. As far as the game we're watching right now, I expect Tampa Bay to rebound. I expect them to win this game. I'd be shocked if they didn't. But if they don't, then they'll win Game 5, and that'll be the end of it. Because there ain't no way Montreal is going down to Tampa and beating them in Tampa.
9:15. We're gonna get out of here. Is the flight zone going on tonight, Frank, with the holiday?
Unfortunately, they are not going on tonight. Jimmy got stuck at work.
Okay. Check us out tomorrow. Birds of a Feather, 8 o'clock tomorrow. He's Brad. I'm Rob. Huge shout out to Frank for producing. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to everyone who liked, commented, subscribed to the show. Until next Monday, peace out, everybody.